I guess we're live now. We got a couple people coming in. Hello, everybody. Thanks for being here. Make sure you smash the heart. Get more people on here. Today, it's my great privilege to have Emily Berge, who is he's one of the candidates running for Congress here in Wisconsin. And along with her is Nick Paro, my good friend, who you all know. But I'll let Emily introduce herself. She'll do a much better job than me. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Oh, well, thanks, Walter, for having me on. It's great to join Nick too. And yeah, I'm Emily Berge. I'm running for Congress in Wisconsin's 3rd district. So, if you look at Wisconsin, so this is Wisconsin, and Eau Claire is kind of over here. The 3rd goes all along, all the way to the bottom, and it scoops up over here and includes Stevens Point. It actually has 6 universities in it, the most universities in any district. So I'm also the city council president in Eau Claire. Been elected since 2018. I've been elected 3 times. Cut my political teeth when on Indivisible, actually in 2017, got really involved in politics after Trump was elected the first time, and just felt like I had to do something back then. And that still drives me today, which is why I'm running for Congress. Actually, a little over a year ago, I was like, okay, this is nuts. And it's just, I think we all can, well, I won't speak for everyone, but for me, this is way worse than what I thought. I was already sick to my stomach after Election Day. And I was actually in DC over inauguration weekend a year ago protesting and seeing all the MAGA hats. And I felt sick then. And then it's just, that's when the EOs started coming out fast and furious. And yeah, it's just been a wild ride. But at the same time, seeing our community stand up for each other has been amazing and gives me a lot of hope. And people ask, they're worried about our democracy. And I tell them I feel really good about our democracy because people are showing up all the time as I'm traveling through the 19 counties of the 3rd in red areas, small cities, small towns, small cities. People are fired up. So I'm trying to spread that message of hope too, that people are paying attention and they're showing up. So
Perfect.
I love
And
that.
Nick, do you have anything you wanted to ask right away or get started with?
Uh, right away, I just wanted to ask how has been the response in your community, or what are you looking to do for the response in the wake of Alex Preddy's murder, Renee Nicole Good's murder, Keith Porter's murder? In the response to those things, how is your community, or are you looking to engage with your community to evaluate and reuse ICE, or rethink ICE and immigration enforcement just in general? What are your thoughts around that, especially in the wake of those recent murders?
yeah, that's a big question.
Starting you off with an easy one. Just going to start you
Yeah.
off with an easy one. I'm a very direct person, but I love the back and forth and the conversation and stories. So I just to introduce myself a little bit on that. So good morning, everyone. Starting with an easy question today.
Yeah. No, it's an important question. And I think, and everyone's asking those questions, right? Um, I'll start with the first part of your question, how our community is standing up. And it's interesting in this moment of time, I'm wearing a couple different hats, being city council president. So we don't have a mayor in Eau Claire, so I'm the highest elected official in the city. And then also running for Congress. So it's differently. And then just being a community member, a human in this times too. So, but our communities, they are showing up. I am hearing from the ICE. It's also have to be knowing that this, I'm hearing I have good relationships with our immigrant community. I've built relationships over the years. I show up for them. And I think that, I guess my big takeaway, I was going to say that first, when people do come in and have all these ideas, and I always think, well, you need to center the people who are most impacted. And are you talking with the immigrant community? That's what this is about. And that's what I always do. And if people say, well, I don't know anyone or I don't have relationships, like, well, start there then. You need to start there because we need to have relationships where when things like this happen, there's that trust there that they can come to you. And I think that is so important. And I know people enter this process at different time, and some people are just coming in now. But when this is done, and there will be a time when this is done, I hope you remember to build those relationships. Like all of your networks shouldn't, like I'm a white person, they shouldn't all be white, like you need to have different people with backgrounds, genders, all of that. And that's because when times like this happens, you need to center them and their experiences. So I'll just start there that I am always checking in with their local communities of what is needed. And what I'm hearing is they don't want a mark on our backs. They don't want because this isn't, I mean, it's terrible, but this isn't like it's their families that are going to be torn apart if thousands of ICE agents come to Eau Claire, and this is like about safety for them. So it's really, I have that in the back of my head that, so it's how to lead without being performative, but really centering those who, um, who are most impacted. So I'll just preface it by that. And that's what I'm doing. So there's kind of, so people are really concerned, but people are showing up. I'll say it is more underground. I won't talk a lot about it here because it's a very public place. But
Absolutely.
people are showing up, and I encourage people to find those networks. They are in your communities. It's happening. I'm helping set it up throughout whatever I can. So find those people in your local communities who are doing the work and pitching in and helping. So I think that's how we're showing up in Eau Claire is we're standing up for each other and in ways that may not be, it's how to express your feelings of what's going on, but also again centering the most impacted. Yeah. And then also, in the wake of, I mean, I can go on and on, but like just with my city council hat on, and our police we've had a policy on the books since the first Trump administration that we don't work with ICE. I mean, that's like another thing. All these things you need to have in place before shit hits the fan, basically, So, like, we already have it on the books that, we don't work with ICE, we don't communicate, our police do not ask immigration status, we cannot hold people, detain people because of immigration status, or trying to find out, like, based on what they look like or any accents people might have. So those are already on the books, and there is no collaboration. And I'm speaking regularly with our chief of police. And it's about, though, communicating, also, as I said, with our immigrant population, because they're really scared right now. And so it's also being there and communicating with that too. So a lot is in the background that I'm doing. At the same time, our community is showing up through mutual aid in different ways there as well. So I don't know that.
No,
Oh,
that
that's
answers
perfect. Yeah.
wonderfully for me.
And let me just say, too, I want to just express my gratitude that you come on and talk to us. I think this new movement has to be our representatives talking to regular people like me and Nick. And until now, we've had that kind of separation. And I call them the silver spoon Democrats who just kind of keep themselves insulated and they don't really engage with the problems. And when you come on, it's so helpful because you are explaining the challenges you're facing and the actions you're taking and how we can help. And that's called leadership, rather than just like the guy going on the news and having a couple sanitized questions and then him just lecturing and then them getting mad because we don't show them enough support like they think they deserve. So this new era is what we need. It's what's going to be going going forward. It's what's going to give us our victory. I do want to tell you though, I thank again too, because I know you did this letter just in support of the immigrants in our community. And I printed out the response we got from this Fred Kappas, I call him. I stutter a little bit when I get to those K's, but he says in here, and I want this. This made me so angry when I read it because you wrote this kind letter just saying, we're an immigrant, we're an immigrant culture. Everybody is an immigrant here, and
Well,
he
not
writes.
everyone. We do have an indigenous community. Yeah.
Absolutely, I stand corrected. That is absolutely true, and it's what's really unfortunate is how disrespectful people are being to our indigenous community. It's like accusing them of not having proper documentation too, which is just absolutely absurd. And yes, and so he writes in here. You state this is from Fred Kappas now. You state you stand in solidarity with our immigrant neighbors. Do you mean legal immigrants who lawfully entered our country through the legal immigration process, or are you referring to illegal immigrants who broke our nation's laws by illegally entering our country? And I want to stop there and just emphasize again, it's not illegal to cross the border into the United States. You are allowed to come and apply for asylum within a year. So that's perfectly legal. And where do these Republicans get off talking about laws when their leader is a 34-time convicted felon and ICE is breaking the Constitution on a daily basis? They're breaking the judicial laws. We've never seen overreach from the federal government on this level before in my lifetime, anyway. So just that the guys have the nerve to write things like this that show that just have no awareness of what's going on in our country. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I don't know if people saw or so I wrote a letter, um, when was that now? 2 weeks ago, 'cause it's a council week, so I was at the other council meeting, so 2 weeks ago. Just yeah, it's just standing in solidarity with our immigrant community, knowing that there's a lot of fear out there, because there is racial profiling going on, and, so I wrote a public letter, and it was from my city council hat on, so I it was just standing not just, it was standing with solidarity with our immigrant community and trying to recognize this is very traumatic for our community. It's traumatic to be seen, for people to like witness people being taken off the streets. It's traumatic for families like to have their son go to the store to get milk and not come home again. And I was trying to like recognize and validate that trauma, and it's happening throughout the country. And even though we haven't seen that hugely, here in Eau Claire, but it's still, um, I haven't traveled a lot besides, but I've been to DC once, twice now in the last year, and I was talking to the Lyft driver, and I could hear the trauma in his voice. And I'm a licensed professional counselor in my day job, so I know what it sounds like. So, anyways, this letter I wanted to just like I know some people wanted this, and they still do. They think that Trump is this is what they wanted. But this was my attempt to be like, but there are really people that are scared to death right now. And can you just join with that? So that was the point of my letter, and that we're standing with the immigrant community, and that there is a lot of fear. And then the local chair of the Republican Party, that's what you read, Walter. So I did not make it partisan. I didn't talk about my congressional campaign because there's actually a wall between, and I am a rule follower, despite what I say. And I can't use like city resources to talk about my campaign. So I keep a pretty strict wall there just for ethics. But then he introduced that whole, well, you didn't say you're running. Yeah. And he made it super partisan, injected fear and hate into it. So I guess I kind of forgot your question, but I guess my response is that, well, it's just, I mean, typical.
Yeah. More than anything, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to respond to this because there's just so many things. I don't want to read the rest of this letter because it's so offensive and it's just misleading and just this constant, I don't know, just the entitlement of these Republicans who constantly break the law. And thank you. I mean, thank you for being law abiding and following the rules. And then it's made to our disadvantage because they shamelessly break the rules all the time. How often do you have to deal with this guy? Is this guy?
Yeah, I know him. I know he's friends with one of my good friends. That's the thing with being in local government, the people that are mad at you. I mean, but that's also good to your point, and that's why the trust is the biggest between local officials and their community. But I actually, this letter reminded me, and the last time I really heard from him was when we welcomed refugees to our community in 2020, at the end of 2023. So we welcomed 75 refugees. We got news that World Relief was going to be opening. We're going to be welcoming 75. And the local Republican Party, actually Ron Johnson's staffer got wind of it and started organizing patriot groups from around 100 miles around. And they started protesting. They put my phone number on a billboard. They accused me of all sorts of things. Tom Tiffany wrote me a nasty letter. So it was kind of reminiscent of that time, I guess. But I'm not one to get real riled up. and I don't respond to their attacks or their misinformation because that just keeps it going and it just becomes an echo chamber. So it's really important when they come at you to not get stuck in a corner defending yourself. You need to set your own path and stand up. And back then and now I say all are welcome in Eau Claire. It does not matter where you're from. It does not matter. You can be from Duran, you could be from Minneapolis, you can be from the Congo. We welcome you and we're glad you're here. And that's my message again and again. And that has continued my time on council. And that's what I'm running for Congress too, because we need that welcoming spirit, that community building that I think government can bring people together. It does not have to divide people. We don't have to penalize people. We don't have to act punitively like Derek Van Orden does by punishing and threatening to defund Eau Claire. Like, we don't have to lead that way. We have a choice in the leaders who we elect, and we can elect people that are compassionate, are still firm and strong in their values, but are compassionate and won't back down.
So, building on that and what you were talking about around trust, because I think that's a really important aspect of government and civil service in general, um, is trusting your elected officials, trusting your public servants that they're serving the public and the greater good. And you spoke about having trust on the local level because they're your neighbors, they're your friends, they're your family, they're people you don't like, there are people you do like. There are people who don't like you, there are people who do like you. How do you plan to maintain that trust from the local level that you currently have when you get, or if you can get elected federally? What do you plan to do to maintain that trust across the board for your constituents? Because we've lost it.
Mhm.
And the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, but in this case, the Democratic Party has not done enough and they aren't standing up in meaningful ways right now. So, how can you help maintain that trust when you get elected?
Yeah, I love that question. And that is very important to me to maintain that trust. And I feel fortunate that not only did I cut my political teeth on organizing with Indivisible, but also in local government, 8 years of local government where it's just it's nonpartisan. It's just showing up for your community. It's just making our city the best it can be for people to live and feel safe and work. Um, so I think you do that by showing up. So when I am elected to Congress, it's about being connected to the community, to the third congressional district, to the western part of the state, to central Wisconsin. And it's showing up in meaningful ways. It's showing up for everyone, not certain segments of the population. Even yesterday, I was meeting with some local business owners, and I'm not sure where they lay politically because we didn't talk about that. But at the end, he's like, and they, a lot of people around here just assume I'm going to be in Congress, which is kind of funny. I don't know if they realize like how big of a district it is, but he's like, well, when you're in DC, make sure you represent all of us, and people actually are they want again, going back to they want someone to bring people together, and they're sick of this divisiveness, and, they don't like it. So it's like standing up for people, but not being a jerk about it. That's it. Um, but I think to your question about how to build that trust, I think it's showing up for people, like in IRL, in real life, having open town halls, not these phone town halls, not where you're picking questions. I hope I've thought about this and like even like, can I make a campaign? But I don't know what's realistic either. Like, I want to have, I don't know if it's realistic to have monthly town halls, but like show up regularly throughout the district and hear people. How are these federal policies impacting your day to day life? What's going on? The people closest to the problems are closest to the solutions, and it's really important to hear from people. People also say, well, you're just, don't get corrupt up there. And when you get there, it's just going to be all about, the money and blah, blah, and I see that and already like in this race that's playing out. And I am not beholden to DC, to big donors. It's already in my campaign. It's about the people. And I'm telling people, keep me accountable. If you see me doing some shady stuff up there, like be like, Emily, what's going on? Like it's up to you to keep me accountable. And I tell people that. So that's the other thing is, but I think it really is staying grounded in the district. with the folks here. And that's how I see it.
So, two quick questions for you off of that because I love that answer.
Thank you.
Is Are seeing as you talk a lot about community and um, I do a lot of discussions around disability rights,
Mhm.
around LGBTQ rights, around intelligent masculinity, and how we as men need to fix ourselves in a lot of ways and what we can be doing better. One of the areas I focus a lot on, though, are rights of the minority communities that are being attacked, such as our trans neighbors,
Mhm.
Mm.
on top of the ICE and
Yeah.
the immigration. So I'd like to ask, hopefully, a very simple question is,
Yeah.
are trans people people in your
Yeah.
eyes?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I know there's so much going on, and my heart has been with them the last week with the hospital stopping gender affirming care. I mean, it's not okay. It's I don't even know what the words are. It's just not okay, but as a it's stronger than that too. I'm just like struggling for that. But I'm an LPC, licensed professional counselor. I was one of the first counselors in the area to provide gender affirming care at affordable rates because there weren't a lot of people in Eau Claire 15 years ago providing that. So if you go on I still have my counseling website up. You can see like I welcome LGBTQ families, couples.
Mm.
Like I put my values. Like it's who I am. And one of the first things on city council that I did was I organized and we passed a ban on conversion therapy. And we were the third city in the state to do that. So yeah, I'm not just talking, like I'm doing the work. And I have no, yes, trans folks people are of course people. Like I have them as friends, I have them as clients, I have them as coworkers, like I love them. They're all people. So and they're just trying to live their lives like we all are. I mean, they're just trying to be happy. Like where is the crime in that? I don't I mean, I do understand it. I know it's whatever, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
No,
Thank
I
you for
am
saying that.
Yes,
mhm.
thank you. And I just want to confirm too, we're in this era where people have some mistrust of our representatives, and you've been very accessible to me. I've reached out, we've talked a bunch of different times, so I can attest, that yes, Emily is there to listen, and I'm a little easier to reach than Emily is. And then, this is kind of the way our new media is going to work. People can come to me and ask these questions, and I don't want to overwhelm you with messages and phone calls. I try not to abuse that, but if stuff does come up, like the execution, I was very distraught, the various executions that have been happening. And I've reached out to you then and we talked about those things. And I'm in tears a lot of the time. I mean, mine is an immigrant family and I feel we're directly targeted. I want to pivot a little bit, and some news that came to mind or to that came to me today was apparently ICE is still holding this child. We saw this child with the blue hat on, Liam Ramos. Apparently, his health is in decline. And just this, in addition to these executions, I mean, these transgressions, this lawlessness of ICE. The report I heard is that Liam Ramos is his health is failing because of the stress, and they're still holding him. And little kids just can't take this, and just this torture. I mean, something has to be said, and I mean, why are we letting this happen? I mean, these immigrants don't commit crimes. It's you look at the things. It's like this whole thing makes no sense, and that so many people are passively allowing our government. It's not making our lives better. It's causing our kids to have stress. The people causing crimes in the United States are the white supremacists, who this government has pardoned, in which they've told are above the law and handed them guns and told them they're not accountable to anything. Those are the criminals that something needs to be done, not 5-year-old kids who are, being held against their will, having done nothing. So I don't know. My heart goes out to that. I need that to be resolved as quickly as possible. And I'll let you
So,
offer some comment.
building on that into some, I guess, really targeted questions for you here, Emily. And Walter and I talk about this a lot, so I know his situation too. Is on a policy level, would you advocate to abolish ICE?
Yeah, I mean, ICE is not there's no way let's say that the government like, let's say Trump gets out somehow, like tomorrow in all his administration. ICE cannot continue. There's talk about trust. There is no trust. ICE has lost all public trust. And I know before there was bad issues, bad trust too, but now it's like overwhelmingly, people believe like they cannot continue as is. Now I think people do want secure borders, and there is a role, but I think we need to more so center a way for people to become legal citizens. Like people want to work here, people want to live here. Farmers need workers, factories need workers. Like, why don't the government work to solve this problem, and allow people to become either work here legally or be, legal citizens. So, yeah, so while there might be, it's that we need to like rebuild it. So that, because they've lost the trust with American people. There's no way they can do their job. They are making our communities unsafe. So and I think, and ICE was created in the wake of 9/11 too. So it was in this wake of fear, especially against the Muslim community. So I think, right away it got started off on a bad foot with the way, and that we don't need that. Like we need to make sure, like all violent criminals should go, be locked up, or, if they're not from here, then yeah. So that's not even like an immigration thing. Like that should apply for everyone. And we do need, of course, I don't want violent criminals here. And if they happen to be here, like without documentation, yeah, that needs to be taken care of. And I suppose we do need to have something to take care of that, but we don't need to use it to instill fear in people and, have these huge quotas and have this bloated budget. So yeah, I don't think it needs to be reformulated. It needs to be, I would not have voted to fund it, in the House last week. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And what more can be done about these kids that are currently being detained? Any thoughts on that? I mean, especially, we're seeing some of the high profile atrocities, but it makes me fearful of the stuff going on behind the scenes, particularly when it comes to little kids. And there's just kids are not violent criminals, they aren't. So ICE shouldn't have anything to do with little kids. So
I
I don't know.
know.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, they shouldn't. And as a mom, like it breaks my heart to see his little hat on and his backpack coming from school. I mean, I have the same pictures of my kids when they were that age. And it just, no, it's uncontrolled. I mean, that's what's so frustrating, and it feels helpless. Um, because we feel like we can't protect people, and I feel that every single day. And yet, like this is a direct result of electing Donald Trump in November, and this is what he wants to do, and what his administration wants to do is they want to rid our country of immigrants, and they'll whether no matter what their status is and what age they are, and they use I feel like they use hate and fear as a way of wielding power, and it's why I saw it in him in 2016. It's why I got involved, because we deserve better than that. Like leadership does not have to be that. We do not have to be putting 5-year-olds in ICE detention centers and states away from his family. I mean, it's just that's why I feel like I'm a very calm person, but I do get angry, but that anger, like, that fuels me. Like, this is why I'm running, because I see it as the midterms. We have to, like, flip the House. Maybe we'll even flip the Senate. We can, impeach all these people that are making these decisions. Um, we have to start anew. And then that's the other thing people ask me is like, well, how do we come back from that? And I think we have to, just like your ICE question, like, so much of it, we just have to start over. Like, it's like, what's the phoenix going to be out of the flames? Like, we have to rebuild so many of these things to make our country truly strong. Right now, it's not, you know, detaining 5-year-olds is not making our country safer or stronger, but giving people health care and making sure we have public schools, that will make our country safer and stronger. Like right now, like that's why are we putting $75 billion to ICE when people can't afford
Yeah.
health care? I mean, that's just messed up. It's messed up. And we deserve so much better. And I hear that from people, like healthcare and housing. That's what they want our government to look at. They're not worried about the 5-year-olds, with Superman backpacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick?
No, I agree, and thank you for saying that. And so one of the things I talk a lot about too is authenticity and accountability, or even the 3 A's or the triple A's of all of this is accountability, affordability, and authenticity. And you've talked a lot about all of those, or you started talking, especially in that last statement, around affordability. And that's a big deal for people right now. It's expensive. Like, everything is expensive, not just one thing, not just the price of eggs or the price of milk or the price of beef, all of it's expensive. As as a member of Congress, what policies would you advocate for around food security and food, um decreasing the price and the cost of living, specifically around food, but in general, for healthcare, education, food, all of it, because we don't have any social services that help us in this country unless you're a disabled veteran or like a very, very small slice of the community. How do we increase that? What do you advocate for to increase those social services for our communities?
Mhm. So I think, yeah, it's a great question. Those are the issues that people want to figure out. I mean, yeah. So, or not Eau Claire, the third is very rural. We have the three pockets. And so there's a lot of farming, a lot of farmer communities. So again, so these farmers want to provide food for their local communities. And like you said, prices are very expensive at the grocery store. So is there a way to connect those? I mean, just like problem solving, like how, and government can do this. We can do this, and we've had different programs. Oh, my cat is joining us now.
That's beautiful.
We
We
love
need
when
Yeah.
cats join.
I think we need a little bit of cat energy, so that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Lily. But like we have programs, which the Trump administration defunded when they were doji and everything, where they would pay farmers to supply food to local food banks and schools, but it could be bigger than that. What if the government helped facilitate local farmers and not these huge corporate farms to people with like you know,
Mm.
30 head of cattle, or what, like allowing that because they don't want big corporate farmers, or farming. They just want maybe just a small, cattle farm, or they just want to raise, chickens or whatever, just something to provide for themselves and their family. So again, I think that is how can we connect our farmers to be part of the solution because they want to be able to farm and be sustainable. And we need more farmers on the land, not fewer. And I think that's just a real piece of the puzzle. We haven't had a farm bill passed like a good one, they just been kicking the can down the road for years. But we could incorporate some of this affordability stuff in the farm bill. Again, there was some stuff in there. That's where the SNAP was, and they, took that out. But like again, the government can do that. So, I mean, that's a high level thing that I would like to see just based on again what I'm hearing from people and the farmers in our community is they want to be able to provide for their families and for their communities. And people also don't they're getting priced out at the grocery store. So I feel like there's a solution there. With other healthcare or affordability healthcare, I'm very much a proponent of Medicare for all, universal healthcare. What we have now is not working. And with them refusing again, I mean, it feels so long ago, right? Like with them not with the whole ACA tax credits and they didn't even solve that, like, so, and now and I've talked to people about this and they've sent me their bills and, they've gone up 3 times. People that were paying $500 a month are now paying $1,500 a month for healthcare. Who, like, what? Like, we just need people that need healthcare, including mental health care, should be able to have access. Like, they should be able to get care. You shouldn't have to jump through all these hoops. You shouldn't have to deal with insurance companies. I mean, that's the problem is insurance companies. And so we need a system that doesn't allow people to profit off of people getting sick and dying or having mental health crises.
So
You know,
just
go ahead.
oh, sorry to take this question real quick is because I know farming, not just on a food security level, is also a really big piece of the immigration question
Yeah.
and how we handle undocumented immigrants because a lot of labor at farms are from folks who are undocumented.
Yep.
And I don't want to punish the farmers for a system that requires them to get undocumented or enables it. How do we how do you propose that we could from a federal level that we could fix or combat the immigration crisis or what is going on, what is being labeled as an immigration crisis where our food is handled, it's impacting a lot of farmers. How do you discuss that both on a with your local community to ensure that they know that you're trying to support them and help them, but also talk about real immigration change for visas, for things like that to make it easier for farmers to get the aid and help that they need and ensure food security in our nation, um, and to ensure that they are not exploiting labor at the same time.
Mhm. Right. You asked very good questions, I have to say.
Thanks. I was an interrogator in the army. Um,
Were you really?
yeah, um, and
Wow.
trained how to do that, but I also grew up under a psychologist.
Ah,
So I've learned how to question pretty well. It's
yes.
come in
Yeah.
handy, and it's been really bad at times.
Well, as all gifts are, right? We use them for good or
Mhm.
evil.
Thank you, by the
Uh,
way. I appreciate that compliment.
yeah. Yeah. Of course. You're right. It is like undocumented, like I think 70 or 80% of workers on dairies are undocumented. So, and it's interesting what will happen there. But the solution, you asked about solutions. So I think, I mean, again, what I spoke to earlier, there is a way to solve this. And I think you talk to, it's maybe motivational interviewing is like the psychology or counseling term of, okay, what are your goals in life? And then what you're doing now will help you get your goal. And I think like asking that, like, what's going on now? Is it going to help you? Like, if the Trump administration takes all the undocumented folks or not, or even citizens, like how will that help? And people are too scared to go to work on your dairies or your farms. How is that going to help your family and your livelihood? And like having an honest conversation about that. And then again, talking about solutions at the federal level, that was your question. So people that pick fruit and whatnot in California, I believe that there's a way for them to like kinda they can be here like seasonal workers, and they can apply to the federal government to work here part of the year. They don't have that for farming. So that could be a solution. And again, it's working with getting people around the table. You get the farmers and you get the workers that and the advocates and the lawyers and like, let's figure this out. Like, what do you need to make sure your farm is functional and you can provide to your community? And then what do our like workers need? Like, okay, they need status here. Okay, how can we make that happen? And it's just having a conversation about it without what gets in the way is money, right? And the establishment. So it's like, again, your point of just talking to the people, because then the big corporation monies, they probably have like their views and then they have big donation to their politicians. So they're going to vote a certain way or the establishment because of where their money comes from. This is Democrats and Republicans. They're going to pressure their politicians to go a certain way. But you really need to know what like the issues are and solve the problem. Um, so yeah, I think there's definitely there's a way forward to again, we can do this. The government can do this. So it's about making it easy for people to work if they want to work or if they and then go back home to Mexico or wherever or, part of the year like they do in California? Or do they, like, yeah, want to live here and make sure there's a path forward, for them to live here and they can continue to work? So I think it's just, it's been a problem that's been bubbling for a long time. The farmers, they kind of look the other way because they need workers, and then because there's work, people show up, and now everyone's getting punished for it. So
Yeah.
it's a broken system.
I wanna kind of go off that a little bit too, because the issue of money, and it comes down to money often. And in our last election here in Wisconsin, we saw, Elon Musk dump all this money in an attempt to buy the Supreme Court election in a way that didn't appear to be lawful as I was looking at it from the outside. A lot of the things he was doing there. And to the credit, the Wisconsin people rejected this idea that a billionaire could come in and purchase, our state Supreme Court seat. And I'm just kind of bothered by that in a lot of ways. The money that influences one thing is he is a recipient of billions of dollars in subsidies from the government. So why are we giving a guy like that all this money, who then he doesn't go and use it responsibly? Um, People talk about how do we pay for Medicare for all, even though the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit. Can we hold the Pentagon accountable? But just like all these different ways that money becomes part of the problem, and it's just there's this narrative in place that makes us kind of distracted where they accuse child cancer research of being full of corruption, and they disregard the corruption in all these other aspects of our society. And it comes down to there's another issue of election integrity and security, and whether Republic or Democrats are going to be willing to call for just kind of look for nefarious things, because there's a lot of questions about the last election, and we have the right to call for recounts too. So, are all I guess that's a big kind of jumble of thoughts. I'll let you answer it. Take it apart as you wish.
Well, I think, like, you start, money and yeah, money in politics is a huge problem. And it's been interesting on the inside seeing it play out, and Democrats are just as guilty as Republicans. Um, and it's really gross and disgusting, and it makes me very angry. And I hope that, it's like, it's up to the people. Again, we get to decide, and there's a primary. I'm in a primary, and we can decide who we vote for. Do we want to vote for someone that has already the millions of dollars? That's not me. Or do we want to vote for someone who has the people and who's out there doing the work, who has the experience of leading her community for the last 8 years, who has connections to folks who people already trust to do the right thing, no matter their political persuasion? People tell me that all the time. Um, so that's where elections come in. So I'm hoping, not even for my sake, but that we choose people over money, and it's about getting out and voting for those people. So, that we're all part of the solution here. You need to find the candidates that are not backed by money. Now it's going to be harder because they don't have the millions to do the mailers and the TV ads and all that. So you have to, like, really do your research, talk to people, show up. The indivisible groups, I think, have a good sense of what's going on because they're out there doing the work. Um, the local people who they think, like your local electeds or your, local party leaders, again, the people closest to the people. So, like, we're all part of this, so we need to make sure that we elect people that are not beholden to millions of dollars and put to the party establishment. So, I'm doing what I can to spread my message out there. I'm not going to have mailers hit the doors because I don't have, millions of dollars. I'm hoping people are just listening to their folk. People are excited about my candidacy. And again, it's not about me, but I feel like this is an example, you know, of what's going on out there. I could talk on and on. All the word viable, is this a viable campaign? It's just, oh, that could be a whole nother thing on the insides of campaigns. But I'm just like, well, I'm gonna focus on in district. Like, I'm not gonna, sorry, kiss the ring. Like, I only have so many hours in a day. I'm seeing clients. I'm city council president. I'm a mom. I don't have time to kiss the ring in DC. I'm sorry. I'd rather spend my time with the people. And that's how I'm going to serve in Congress too. Again, behavior is consistent. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. So you have to look at people. How are they running their campaigns? So, yeah, that's my thoughts. You got me going a little bit,
I
but
think that's great too. And that actually brought back up a question I had from earlier around staffers. And I don't know if you'll have an answer for this question or not. Is um, I know a lot of folks when they get to DC, the easiest thing to do is get staffers in DC who are already from DC, who are part of the DC ecosystem. Will you also, or would you, to help maintain your local trust, will you, one, maintain a working local office in your district with local staffers? And second, will you also make sure that your congressional staff in DC are filled with local people to your district rather than local people to DC?
yeah, yes. I mean, again, those are the things I think about too, because I think, right, how can I, yes, I don't know, to be honest, I don't really know how that all works.
Yeah.
But if I can, and that would require people here to move to DC too. So, like, there's that piece. But yeah, I agree. Even so, yes, to the amount of extent I can, I think that makes the most sense. I was talking to Ron Johnson's staffer actually during this whole immigration thing a few years ago, and he's in DC, and they had an anti-immigration rally at the VFW, which I was telling him about, and he's like, "What's the VFW?" Like he didn't know what the VFW was. I'm like, "How are you in it for?" Just like what? Like if you don't,
Wow.
if your staffers don't know, if Ron Johnson staffers don't know what the VFW is, like if any congressperson, like that's crazy, I think, in my opinion. So no, it's important to have, and if I can't hire locally out there, whether people don't want to move, but they have, I'm just like they need to have ties here, or they need to be well versed. They need to come here. Like maybe I can take them on field trips. Like let's go to the farms in Viroqua,
They'd
and
probably
let's
really
go.
enjoy it too, to be
Yes,
totally honest. They're people too, and they probably miss
yes,
going on field trips.
I would love that. We can go tubing down the Chippewa. We can go. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And then definitely local staff. Yes, local offices as well. Yes, and staff with local people and representing different groups too. We have a large monk population in Eau Claire, and so making sure that, I mean, not saying, but like making sure different groups are represented as well, that it's not all the same look.
That's fantastic. And I actually have to bow out just a couple minutes early here before
Okay.
the end of the show because I have another interview coming up right at the top of the hour. Emily, this has been really wonderful to get to meet you and hear your thoughts around your candidacy, what you can do for the people, rather than just what you are against. This has been an interview
Yes.
about what you're for.
Mm.
And I really appreciate that. So thank you. Walter, thank you for inviting me.
Yep. Stick around, Emily. We'll just say goodbye to Nick and
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
let you
Yeah.
be
Thanks, Nick.
fun.
It was nice meeting you. We'll see you
Thank
around,
you
I
so
hope.
much. Yes, absolutely, you will. All right. Thank you, Walter.
Okay.
Have a
Bye
great
bye.
end of the show.
All right. Emily, and I've been now would be a good time for you to tell people where they can find you and how they can support your campaign. I've been putting up your Berge for Congress link in the chat. I've been periodically doing that, but anything else you want to add, I'll give you the floor.
Well, thanks, Walter. Well, so my website is, bergieforcongress.com. I'm also on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, Reddit. We have a pretty robust Reddit following, so find us on there. TikTok, though, I don't, that could be a show too. Like they're really trying to censor things on TikTok. I don't know if you've gotten that word, but we're finding, like when I put stuff, I've been talking a lot about ICE. And like they're censoring it all and not allowing it to be put on there. So, which is scary and disappointing, but we are on TikTok. Yeah, so I think that's the best social media. I do try to keep that pretty updated. You'll see what I'm doing. Website, bergieforcongress.com. I appreciate any contributions. I'll put that ask in there, even though, I do need some money. I have one paid staff and I need to pay him. We need signs. So um, I do, campaigns do cost money. I don't think they need millions of dollars, especially when you have the people, but it is helpful to have, $20 here and there. And that's all, it all adds up. So, um, yeah, volunteer if people are interested in volunteering. We on the website there's a volunteer form. People can do that, and you can do that for wherever. Well, I have a pile of I just picked up a pile of postcards from our local union printer that's sitting on my kitchen table or kitchen counter right now that will be starting postcards too. So it's a very grassroots, people oriented campaign.
Yeah, and I always try to tell people, money is great if you can afford it, but yes, just being there, showing up, sharing
Yeah.
this interview would be wonderful. Talking to people about these things, we never need everybody's participation. And I just want to end as we're finishing off here. I just want to thank you again for being accessible, and I know so many people are frustrated with our representation, and you are walking the walk, and I've been able to reach out to you, and the people here who are listening, like we said, you can either try to reach out to Emily directly or reach out to me, and we'll just kind of keep these conversations going. And I do trust you to continue to do those things doing forwards, because I have seen you do those things in the past, and you've stood up for immigrants like my immigrant family. So I thank you. I thank you deeply
Mhm.
for that, because I'm very scared. I mean, and I know
I know.
everybody's feeling that way every day when my family gets
Yeah,
home. I'm grateful for another evening with my family.
I
And my
know.
wife, my wife grew up in an era of terrorism in South America, and she says this feels the same.
I know.
So thank you.
I hear that all over. I mean, yeah, I hear that all over that this is like the country we left. Yeah.
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 So, any kind of closing thoughts? I'll let you finish this off.
Well, Walter, thank you and continue to take care of yourself. And everyone that's listening, that's what I tell people. Like, we're no good to anyone else if we don't take care of ourselves. So it's like, on the airplane when people are like, the flight attendant says, make sure that you can breathe before you help the person next to you. Make sure that you're breathing and you're taking care of you because then we're stronger together. So just people, this is really hard right now and it's really overwhelming. So just do what you can to take care of you and so you can help each other. So,
Absolutely. And I have more people that I know who are going to want to talk to you. So let's just continue to do this. It's really
yeah,
convenient to do this on Substack. Get the word out there. We get people talking
yeah,
and we find our power again. And
yeah.
I feel uplifted at having talked to you. So thank you. Thank you so
Great.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to do it. I feel it. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for
Yeah.
your time, Emily. Good luck. Have a
Yep.
great day today.
You too. Bye. Stay warm.
Yeah. Bye bye.